Dr. Alfredo Ballí Treviño is a name that sends shivers down the spine of those familiar with his dark history. Born in Monterrey, Mexico, this seemingly respectable physician concealed a monstrous side that would shock the nation and echo into the cultural psyche. Known for his charm and charisma, Dr. Treviño would earn the chilling moniker the Doctor of Death after committing heinous crimes that gripped the attention of the Mexican public and inspired the character of Hannibal Lecter in Thomas Harris' novel The Silence of the Lambs. This is the story of a man who blurred the line between healer and killer, leaving a disturbing legacy in his wake. Alfredo Ballí Treviño was born into a respected family in Monterrey, the bustling industrial heart of northern Mexico. Raised in privilege, Treviño's life was shaped by access to the best education and a strong support network that encouraged him to pursue a respectable career. He eventually enrolled in medical school, where he excelled, impressing his professors and classmates with his intellect and dedication. His future appeared promising, and he earned a degree as a general practitioner, opening his clinic and building a successful medical practice. In Monterrey, he developed a reputation as a quiet but skilled physician. He treated the poor without charging them, which earned him respect and gratitude from those in the community who lacked resources. His clinic provided him with a steady income and a respected place in society, yet there was something beneath the surface, an unexplainable darkness that few could see. Despite his accomplishments, Treviño had a reclusive nature. Though a polite and friendly doctor by day, he often kept to himself after clinic hours, cultivating an air of mystery around his personal life. Colleagues found him competent yet enigmatic, as he rarely attended social gatherings or mingled with others outside of his professional life. This combination of distance and secrecy allowed him to hide his darker impulses. In 1959, Treviño's facade of respectability would come crashing down, revealing the monster lurking within. Though initially, no one suspected him of any crimes, the grim discovery of his lover's mutilated body in his clinic would expose the brutal truth about Dr. Alfredo Ballí Treviño. It was revealed that Treviño had developed a secret relationship with a young medical student, Jesus Castillo Rangel. Castillo Rangel was captivated by the enigmatic doctor, and their relationship became intense, but tensions began to emerge. Treviño, driven by a deep-seated rage, harbored violent tendencies that few could have imagined. His relationship with Castillo Rangel was complex, marked by jealousy, obsession, and underlying darkness. One fateful night, during an argument that spiraled out of control, Treviño's anger reached its breaking point. He brutally murdered Castillo Rangel, showing no remorse or hesitation. But it wasn't enough for Treviño to simply kill his lover. He proceeded to dismember the body meticulously, using his medical training to sever limbs with clinical precision. He attempted to dispose of the remains, demonstrating a cold and calculated approach that revealed the depths of his depravity. Treviño's ability to calmly dismember a human body, as if it were a surgical procedure, reflected an unsettling detachment from his actions. His medical training had given him the tools to take apart the human anatomy with ease, and his methodical dismemberment left investigators horrified. His detailed knowledge of anatomy had transformed him from healer to killer in the most disturbing way imaginable. Treviño's gruesome actions did not go unnoticed. His attempts to hide Castillo Rangel's remains failed, leading to a police investigation that uncovered the horrific scene within his clinic. When officers arrived, they found a macabre display of human remains, leaving them in shock at the brutality of the crime. Initially, Treviño denied involvement, but as the evidence mounted, he was forced to confess. During his confession, he displayed a chilling calmness, describing the murder and dismemberment without remorse. He spoke clinically about his actions, as if recounting a medical procedure rather than a brutal murder. His demeanor disturbed both the investigators and the Mexican public, who struggled to reconcile the image of the quiet, charitable doctor with the violent killer before them. The trial of Alfredo Ballí Treviño captivated Monterrey. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, eager to catch a glimpse of the Doctor of Death inside the courtroom. Treviño was represented by a skilled attorney, but his defense team faced an uphill battle against overwhelming evidence. Witness testimonies from his colleagues and patients painted a portrait of a man with two faces: the benevolent doctor and the hidden monster. As the trial progressed, Treviño's chilling demeanor continued to haunt those in attendance. He showed little reaction as evidence of his brutal crime was presented, maintaining an eerie composure that unnerved the courtroom. His lack of empathy and remorse only added to the public's fascination and horror. Ultimately, the court found him guilty of murder, sentencing him to death. However, his sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment, sparking public outrage. Many believed that a man capable of such unspeakable violence did not deserve leniency. Treviño was sent to Monterrey's Topo Chico prison, where he would spend years in solitary confinement, left alone with his dark thoughts. Behind bars, Treviño's life took on a strange new chapter. Initially feared by fellow inmates and guards alike, he was eventually granted special privileges, owing to his medical knowledge. Prison authorities allowed him to practice medicine, providing basic health care to other prisoners. Despite his monstrous past, he maintained an air of professionalism, treating inmates' injuries and illnesses with the same composure he had shown as a free man. Over time, Treviño became something of a legend within the prison walls. His violent past was well known, and many prisoners both feared and respected him. His calm demeanor and willingness to help others earned him a peculiar respect, and he continued to operate as a doctor in his limited capacity. Yet, even as he helped others, his dark legacy lingered. Guards and prisoners alike whispered about the true nature of El Médico Asesino, the killer doctor, and some prisoners claimed they could see a darkness in his eyes. His medical practice in prison was, in many ways, a disturbing irony. He had taken life with the same hands he now used to heal, leaving an indelible mark on those who witnessed his transformation. While some saw his work as a form of redemption, others saw it as a mockery of justice, a way for Treviño to continue exerting control and manipulating those around him. During his time in prison, Treviño crossed paths with American author Thomas Harris, who was researching Mexican prisons for a novel. Harris later described meeting a mysterious, charismatic Mexican doctor who had been convicted of murder. This encounter inspired Harris to create Dr. Hannibal Lecter, one of literature's most chilling and iconic villains. Harris was reportedly struck by Treviño's intelligence, calm demeanor, and sinister charm, which mirrored the terrifying yet sophisticated qualities of Hannibal Lecter. Though Harris has never confirmed Treviño as the sole inspiration for Lecter, the parallels between the two figures are difficult to ignore. Like Lecter, Treviño was a man of intelligence and refinement who concealed a monstrous nature beneath his calm exterior. This connection between Treviño and the fictional Lecter only added to the mystique surrounding the Doctor of Death. His story took on a new life in the realm of fiction, forever linking him with one of pop culture's most terrifying figures. Treviño's dark legacy would now extend beyond his own crimes, immortalized in the character of Hannibal Lecter, who haunted readers and audiences for decades to come. After more than 20 years in prison, Treviño was unexpectedly granted parole in 1980, a decision that sparked outrage and disbelief. Many felt that such a violent individual should never be allowed to walk free. Yet, due to his advanced age and perceived low risk of reoffending, authorities released him under strict conditions. Upon his release, Treviño returned to Monterrey, where he lived in relative anonymity. Though he attempted to rebuild his life, the shadow of his past followed him. Former patients and neighbors avoided him, and whispers of his past circulated wherever he went. He lived out his remaining years as a recluse, never fully escaping the notoriety of his crimes. Despite his attempts to move on, Treviño remained a figure of fascination and fear. His release raised difficult questions about justice, rehabilitation, and whether society could forgive someone who had committed such unspeakable acts. For many, his release was a failure of the justice system, a reminder that true evil could never be fully contained or eradicated. Alfredo Ballí Treviño's story endures as one of Mexico's most chilling and unsettling true crime tales. His life represents the terrifying duality of humanity, the capacity to heal and to harm, to create and to destroy. His transformation from a respected doctor to a violent killer challenges our understanding of morality, raising disturbing questions about the nature of evil and the dark impulses that can exist even in those who appear kind and compassionate. Treviño's legacy is complex. To some, he was a brilliant physician whose life took a tragic turn. To others, he was an embodiment of pure evil, a man who had willingly crossed moral boundaries, leaving devastation in his wake. His life has left a stain on Monterrey's history and serves as a reminder of the darkness that can hide beneath a respectable exterior. For those who remember the shocking details of his crimes, Alfredo Ballí Treviño remains a haunting figure, a man who seemed ordinary yet committed acts that were anything but. His medical background and calculated methods set him apart from other killers, instilling a unique fear in those who heard his story. Unlike the impulsive violence often associated with crime, Treviño's actions were methodical, a product of both skill and malice. In the years following his release, Treviño faded from the public eye, passing away in relative obscurity. His death closed the final chapter on a life marked by both healing and horror. However, his story continues to resonate, drawing fascination from true crime enthusiasts and scholars alike who seek to understand the psychology of killers who live double lives. The impact of Alfredo Ballí Treviño's story lingers in popular culture and the collective memory of Monterrey. His transformation from trusted doctor to violent killer exemplifies the duality of human nature, illustrating how deeply disturbing impulses can lurk in those who seem most trustworthy. In recounting his tale, the people of Monterrey are reminded of the fragility of trust, the thin line that separates kindness from cruelty. For generations, his case has been a touchstone for discussions on justice, redemption, and the complex interplay between one's professional and personal personas. The lasting cultural impact of his story, now intertwined with the Hannibal Lecter character, has cemented Treviño's place in the annals of true crime history. To this day, his story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overlooking hidden darkness in seemingly upstanding individuals. Alfredo Ballí Treviño's crimes were not just shocking in their brutality but in their cold calculation. He reminds us that evil does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it wears a gentle smile and a white coat, hiding behind credentials and social status. Through his story, we confront the unsettling realization that monsters can indeed walk among us, sometimes disguised as trusted members of our communities, only revealing their true nature when it's too late. In the end, Alfredo Ballí Treviño's life left behind more questions than answers. He was a doctor who chose to heal, yet also chose to kill, leaving an indelible mark on the minds of those who studied his case. The tale of the Doctor of Death remains a chilling reminder of the thin line between good and evil, a haunting story that reminds us to look beyond appearances, to question what we think we know about the people around us, and to remember that, sometimes, the most dangerous individuals are those who know how to hide in plain sight.